I have some blank pages in my sketchbook, I have a pencil, and I have an unlimited resource of references at my fingertips through the internet. I have no excuse not to start practicing drawing male body types. I should probably mention that I'm going to be drawing a pretty generic male body type for this video. I'm going to be drawing a bunch of different references, filling up 4 pages, I guess, 2 spreads. And I'm aware that there are multiple body types and everybody comes in different shapes and sizes, but I'm taking it slow and I'm just going to draw a pretty generic male first. So with this first reference, since I knew I was going to be drawing a lot of different pictures, I really wanted to capture proportions, because I think that's what I struggle with the most. When I try to draw a male character, it always starts looking very feminine because I draw a lot of girls and it's kind of what I'm better at. This first sketch is pretty stiff. It was my warm-up for the day. I hadn't drawn it all in. So it, as to be expected, is very stiff and I'm not like in love with this, but I definitely did learn something while drawing this about like the neck muscles. So I'm very glad that I did it. While drawing the first sketch, I learned that I was kind of confused about what the chest region and the ab region is supposed to look like, so I looked up another reference, this time from a different angle, straight on, and I started drawing that one. You'll see I start with like some guideline sketches, even though those you physically can't see in the reference. I'm drawing like some circles and some lines to try and gauge on the paper where I want each of the like body parts to go. These are very, very helpful for me because it really just sort of graphs out the paper and helps me see where things belong, you know? When you do these, it's very important not to draw them too darkly because you're going to want to either erase them or not want them to show through your sketch too much, because it's not a very important line, it's really just to help get you started. What I think I learned most from this sketch is the way that the breasts sort of taper in and follow the ab line. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like the abs like taper in towards the belly button as well, and then they like shoot out once it reaches the belly button. That's what I learned from this one at least. And that's really cool because that's something I can take when I want to and apply to something if I draw without a reference. So, yay! I thought the second sketch was pretty successful and I was happy with it, so I decided to find another reference, this time from another angle, and draw that chest again and figure out what parts stick out more than others, basically, and really trying to think of the character as a 3D object and trying to figure out, you know, the shape of each of the things, because like when you look at a picture from one angle you're just seeing that flat shape and you don't really get a very good impression of the mass of each of the body parts, if that makes sense. So this is why I'm looking at different references from different angles of like basically the same thing and, you know, drawing that so that it can get into my brain, you know? Now I had 3 different characters of guys and I was feeling still very stiff with the art, so I found this much more fluid reference. I like this one. So I was like, I really need to push these proportions. Sure, I don't really understand the makeup of the character, the anatomy yet, but let's try and draw it from like a crazy pose and see if I can get it to look fluid and not so stiff. So that was the idea with this one. It definitely would have been easier if he wasn't wearing a shirt and I would have been able to see the orientation of his chest a little bit better. But, I don't know, this is just the references I have to work with, so you gotta do what you gotta do. But there are some wrinkles on the shirt that were kind of helpful in that way. But the other thing that using these sort of references makes a little bit more difficult when you're learning is because when you're learning, you're trying to learn like the proportions, like the biceps and like the proportion of like forearm to, I don't know, everything. Words are escaping me. But foreshortening, like this reference has, it's like a whole nother artistic concept, okay? And it's like very difficult to grasp on its own. So when you're trying to learn to draw a human, it's kind of hard to learn to draw it from these kind of crazy references, but I do have some experience drawing humans, so that did help. But I was still having a very difficult time keeping those proportions to look masculine, so yeah. I don't totally recommend drawing super foreshortened or weirdly positioned bodies when you're starting out, but don't like avoid them either. So I don't know what I'm trying to say, because if you avoid them you'll never learn to draw that stuff. So yeah, just draw everything, you know? Just why eat, sleep, or breathe? I mean, just draw and then you'll be the best artist ever, right? that logic holds up. This next one was very much inspired by Spider-Man because I draw girls, and I'm happy drawing girls. I just enjoy drawing girls. They're just what I want to draw. It's kind of why I don't draw guys, because I never have like the urge to draw guys. But I do have an urge to draw Spider-Man quite often, and I'm always terrified to do it. And honestly, this whole video is sparked because I tried to draw Spider-Man and I was kind of terrified by the results. So I'm like, I need to really start practicing my male anatomy so that I can one day draw Spider-Man. So, I mean, I've drawn Spider-Man, but I mean, draw Spider-Man well. So, the 3 references I chose for all the sketches on this page specifically are all ones that are bending in some way, so I'm really learning how the different body parts bend and contract and become different shapes when, you know, you're in different poses. And I really like this one specifically because of the way you can see both his chest and his back at the same time. And I learned that like there's that like the line of your spine and the way that looks when it's contorting. So I had a lot of fun with this reference, and I feel like I learned a lot about drawing the chest from like a very extreme and contorted angle. This next sketch, oh, I found the best reference ever, and there was just no room for it on that paper, so I had to turn the page. But just look at it. Just look how happy it was. Like these other sketches that I had done, like it kind of felt a little bit like work because, you know, I'm trying to teach myself to draw something that's not really my main interest. So this reference though, I had so much fun drawing it. Like, I guess just for future, anytime I want to draw a guy, I just have to draw him in this pose and I'm golden, right? Like, that's all I have to do. Like, this was just so much fun. It's just so crazy. And like the arms and the legs and like everything about it. And then whenever I learned to drawing these chests, because you'll notice I like never draw the shirts on the guys, even if they're wearing shirts, because I find it very helpful when sketching it out, because I am learning, you know, the way the chest looks and like learning those proportions, and drawing them in helps me gauge the rest of the drawing. And so I always put in like, even though like he may be wearing a shirt later, I put in these like orientation nipples because I think they just really help me. I don't know what it's about. It's just helpful, okay? Try it. Oh, and then here's where I tried to put his clothes on him so that he wasn't so naked, but like I think I did it too early. I don't think I had quite captured the pose right before I did that. But I am, again, happy with this sketch. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think I definitely learned a lot about like that twisting, if you twist his spine, like the way his chest is pointing one direction and his butt's pointing a different direction. I really like the way that area turned out. I think it just, I don't know, I feel like I learned a lot. And this sketch is probably my least stiff, so yay for like a fluid pose. And that is like my main goal, really, is to be able to draw male characters that aren't super stiff. Spider-Man. Now here I switched to my handy dandy purple pen because I felt like I was getting a little too bogged down by certain details of the sketch, and I was really not learning as much as I would have liked, and like in a more broad manner. Like I was focusing too much on like the little details, and I really wanted to capture like I said, I think at the beginning, I really want to be able to draw, you know, the proportions of the character different than the way I proportion like a female character. So I switched to the pen so that I could, you know, not erase. So I can't erase, I can't focus on erasing, so I have to just draw each line and like just have to go with it. And I'm quite happy that I did, because I did this first sketch, and this first one I definitely still was falling under that same trope of like too many details and getting very bogged down by trying to make each line perfect. So I tried to draw this exact same reference a second time, but looking a little bit less at the reference. So because I had drawn it that first time, I kind of had an idea of what all of the different elements of the sketches of this reference were. So now when I'm drawing it the second time, I'm looking a little bit less back at the reference and trying to draw it a little bit more in my style. I'm really trying my best to be very, very loose and to only draw the lines that are like absolutely necessary. But I thought I could push it a little bit further, so I started drawing basically the same pose again, but this time I'm playing around with it a little bit more. I'm exaggerating different things, playing with the face, and like even switching up the pose a little bit, you know, whatever I feel comfortable with. But I'm still trying to like refrain from drawing too many lines and keeping it very, very simple and stylized, and learning and taking what I've learned throughout this basically exercise of filling 2 pages and applying it to this sketch and seeing what I can do with it now that I've learned a few things or 2. And that basically finished up that sketch, but I also did 2 more sketches, one in a purple pen, just another quick, trying to like redo that face a little bit, and then I did one with pencil, went back to like a bit more of the basics and like fleshing out the character properly, like using form and all that, and I kind of like the way that one turned out because I learned a lot about the neck muscles while doing this exercise, not in these like last couple sketches, but like this one I definitely used what I learned and applied it to that. And then as a little bit of a reward to myself for filling 2 whole spreads with men, I decided to allow myself to redraw some of the faces and try and redeem myself, because some of these faces, like, they just didn't turn out, so I wanted to like give them another shot. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed coming along with me as I try and teach myself to draw more masculine characters. I really do need to continue practicing, and I think it'd be kind of cool now to attempt to draw maybe like a finished illustration and use what I've learned, because these are all kind of like quick sketches trying to like, you know, flesh out the shape and such. So yeah, I had fun. It was a little bit hard, but I really do want to get better at this. I think I would definitely benefit from going to art school at this point, having like a teacher make me draw certain things that I don't really want to draw, like someone on my back. I mean, you guys are kind of like that for me, because you'll be like, hey, you never draw guys, and I'm like, yeah, I don't. Good point. I need to get on that. But I mean, I need someone like on my back. So yeah. Thank you guys for suggesting that I do draw more men, because I do want to improve. I want to be a better artist, and I'm really enjoying the journey. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know how you practice anatomy, or how you teach yourself to draw something that you don't draw all the time. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all next week, and I hope you have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye!